Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. We are doing a bookish video for you guys. If you are new here, my name is Emily. Welcome to my little platform on the internet. And for today's video, we are going to be discussing my top 10 5-star predictions for 2023. So I have a pile all right here. I think there's only one book, maybe two, that I don't have yet currently that I'm going to be talking about, but these are all of the books that I expect to be 5-star reads this year. If they're not, that's totally okay, but based on either the author or reviews that I've seen or friends that I have that have already read these books who have said it is amazing, I'm just expecting that these are going to be amazing for me too. So without further ado, let's just dive into it. So there isn't really going to be an order to this based on what ones I think I'm going to like the most or whatever. However, this one I've actually already read and it was indeed a 5-star read. So that is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I think everyone and their mother has heard of this book by now, and I have no idea how I have not read it yet up until this point, but I did just finish it. This book is about a woman named Evelyn Hugo, who is a famous Hollywood actress, and she's being interviewed by this writer named Monique, who is writing her story essentially about all of the drama and heartbreak and friendships and things that went right and wrong in her career, and obviously about her 7 husbands who she had had over her life. So it was everything I could have expected and more. There was so much representation in this book and things that I was not expecting, and I highly recommend you pick this up if you have not already. I honestly regret sitting on it for so long, so please read this in 2023 if you have not already. It was incredible. Sorry if the angle just changed a little bit. I did turn off my camera for a second because I was having some technical problems, but the next book on the list is X's and O's by Amy Lee. If you know, you know. I absolutely adored Set on You. I thought it was such a unique concept, and while this one here is definitely not as unique of a plot line, I absolutely loved the way she wrote Set on You, and so I feel like her writing style is just for me. If you don't know what this book is about, it is about Crystal from Set on You's sister Tara, and she has a roommate named Trevor who is a firefighter, and he's helping her go through all of the lists of her exes to see which one could potentially be her soulmate, and little does she know, he may end up being the one for her. So very simple plot line, but I just love her writing. I love that she's Canadian, she's new, she's fresh, great representation in these books, and I'm just really excited. I'm going to be reading this in February for Love Month, obviously. I mean, look at the cover. It is literally the perfect book for Valentine's Day, and I highly recommend you guys look this one up too if you are interested in something like this. The next one I have on my list has been highly not read yet, but it should have been read a long time ago, and that is The Vanishing Half by Brit Bennett. I was hoping to read this at the end of 2022, and I have no idea what happened, honestly. I think, 2022 December, I just did not read that much, to be honest, so this is a very exciting read for me. So if you don't know what this book is about, it essentially says twins inseparable as children ultimately choose to live in two very different worlds, one black and one white. So they can pass as white, which means the one woman decides that she wants to live a more white lifestyle, whereas the other one decides to live as black still, and that's honestly mostly what I know about it. But I do know that this has had many awards, and I'm really excited to see how amazing this is. I have a feeling it's going to be heartbreaking. The writing is going to be amazing, and I'm just like a little bit disappointed in myself that I haven't read this yet because it's been on my list for so many months. So I'm really excited to pick this up in 2023, and I have a really great feeling that it's going to be a 5-star. The next one on my list is actually one that kind of just came up a few months ago on this predicted 5-star list for me, and that is Mary Jane by Jessica Anya Blau. And I've just seen so many people not realizing how much they were going to love this book. I've heard people say that it has some similarities to Daisy Jones and the Six with regards to like the era that it's in, and there's like rock and roll and whatnot in it. So I gave Daisy Jones and the Six a 5-star. This is obviously different. It's actually about a 14-year-old girl named Mary Jane in the 1970s who lives a very innocent lifestyle with her family. She gets a job as a nanny for this doctor, and he's like a counselor, I believe, for this famous family. I believe the dad is a rock star and the mom is a movie star, so clearly they're very big, and they end up moving in with the doctor to get extra help, and she's obviously the nanny. So she starts to see life in a more creative and wild way, and I've just heard really great things about it. People have said that it shocked them how much they enjoyed this, and I think that it could potentially do that for me too. So I'm really excited to read Mary Jane. The next one I actually just replaced a book with because I read Winterwood by Shea Ernshaw just in December actually, and I really loved it. I gave it a 4-star, so it wasn't a 5 by any means, but her writing has a lot of potential to be one of my favorite authors. So I ended up picking up A History of Wild Places by Shea Ernshaw. This is actually her only adult book, I believe, and it just sounds really interesting. It is about a guy named Travis who is very talented at locating missing people. So he's hired to find this person, and he ends up going to this community that was founded in the 70s, and he ends up just disappearing once he gets there. And then years later, a guy named Theo sees Travis's abandoned truck outside of the community. So it says, no one is allowed in or out, not when there's a risk of bringing a disease, the rot, into Pastoral, which is the community. Unraveling the mystery of what happened reveals secrets that Theo and his family keep from one another, secrets that prove their perfect isolated world isn't as safe as they believed, and that the darkness takes many forms. I just think this sounds really spooky. I know that she writes a lot of like witchery, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what is incorporated into this book, because I feel like it gives you just enough in the synopsis for you to be really intrigued, but you have no idea what it's about still. So I'm looking forward to this. Hopefully it's a 5-star. This one could be on the fence, we'll see, but I have high hopes. Next up, what would a 5-star predictions video be without Colleen Hoover? I think you guys all know that that is, you know, one of the authors near and dear to my heart because she allowed me to start reading more. I binged her books, I loved her books, and honestly, her writing just helped me become a better reader today. So I plan on reading this in February. I'm really excited about it, and that is Hopeless. Oh my god, look at how that is so glossy. Okay, I don't know. There, I'll just bend it down a little bit. So Hopeless by Colleen Hoover. This is the newer cover. I did not like the old cover because it had a person on it, and I'm just not a fan of covers with real people on it. But this, I honestly have no idea what it's about, so let's read it together. The only reason I think it's going to be a 5-star is because everyone that I talked to about it has said they love it, the reviews are good, and it's Colleen Hoover. So let's read the synopsis. Would you rather know a truth that makes you feel hopeless or keep believing the lies? Beloved and best-selling author Colleen Hoover returns with the spellbinding story of 2 young people with devastating pasts who embark on a passionate, intriguing journey to discover the lessons of life, trust, and above all, the healing power that only truth can bring. Sky, at senior high school, meets Dean Holder, a guy with a promiscuous reputation that rivals her own. From their very first encounter, he terrifies and captivates her. Something about him sparks memories of her deeply troubled past, a time she's tried so hard to bury. Though Sky is determined to stay far away from him, his unwavering pursuit and enigmatic smile break down her defenses, and the intensity of the bond between them grows. But the mysterious Holder has been keeping secrets of his own, and once they are revealed, Sky is changed forever, and her ability to trust may be casualty of the truth. Only by courageously facing the stark revelations can Sky and Holder hope to heal their emotional scars and find a way to live and love without boundaries. Hopeless is a novel that will leave you breathless, entranced, and remembering your own first love. Wow, okay. It does sound like it's going to be a 5-star based on that too. I will probably be getting very emotional during this book, but if you know, you know. Colleen Hoover is just, you know, you either love her or you hate her, and I feel really bad for the people that hate her because she's amazing. So hopefully this ends up being a 5-star. Keep kicking the books. Oh my god. We are ending this video off with some fantasy and some thrillers. So let's just dive into the one fantasy that I have for this 5-star predictions video. That is A Court of Silver Flames by none other than Sarah J. Maas. So I have already read up until A Court of Wings and Ruin. I still need to read A Court of Frost and Starlight, but I will get there, and eventually this year I will get here. I'm not a huge fan of Nesta, and this book revolves around her, but I know that some people say she redeems herself. So this book basically just continues on the story of the ACOTAR series, only this is now more so in Nesta's point of view and her relationship with Cassian, and I just have a feeling there's going to be a lot of smut and drama and action in this book, and I loved A Court of Wings and Ruin and A Court of Mist and Fury, both 5-star reads, so I don't see why this one should not be a 5-star read as well. And also, it's just so beautiful and big, and I love the series so much. So I'm really excited about this. I want to read this probably like further into the year because we haven't even had an announcement of the next book yet, and I have heard there's going to be 2 more books. So I just don't want to read this series way too fast and then all of a sudden I have to wait like years for the next book. So this might be like a middle of the year thing, but I will always keep you guys updated. At the end of the year, maybe I'll actually do a whole video explaining which ones actually were 5 stars and which ones disappointed me. Okay, we are coming up on the last 2 books here. So first one I'm actually planning on reading after the book I'm reading now, and that is Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. I just know that so many people love this book, and it sounds really, really cool based on the synopsis, so I think it's the perfect time to read it now. It is literally blizzarding outside. So this book is about a married couple who have been having some issues, and every anniversary they exchange traditional gifts, and Adam's wife writes him a letter she never lets him read until now. And Adam is someone who has actually face blindness, so he can't even recognize his own wife, and his wife is very sick of feeling unseen. They end up going on a weekend away to Scotland, and it might be what their marriage needs, but this weekend may make or break their marriage, and they didn't randomly win the trip. One of them is lying, and someone doesn't want them to live happily ever after. So it just sounds very mysterious, and one of the other books actually in my thriller list kind of sounds similar to this. So I'm really interested in seeing how similar they are, and if they are actually similar or if they have very different differences to them. But I know Alice Feeney is super, super talented, so I really look forward to having this be my very first Alice Feeney book. And who knows, if it is a 5-star, maybe I will add more Alice Feeney onto my TBR this year. Okay, so I know I said 2 more books before, but it's actually 2 more books now because I remembered that there's one that I don't own yet, and it's the one that I think is similar to that, which is You Shouldn't Have Come Here by Geneva Rose. I am obsessed with her. I think that she is so cool, so funny, and The Perfect Marriage was in my top 5 for 2022. A New Yorker named Grace Evans who's looking for a total escape from her busy life, and she decides to book an Airbnb on a ranch in the middle of Wyoming. When she arrives, she is surprised to find that the owner is handsome and his name is Calvin, but there are things that Grace discovers that she's not too pleased about. So there's no cell service, there's a missing woman, and a feeling that something just isn't right with the town in Wyoming. So despite her uneasiness and misgivings from Calvin's friends and family, the two grow close and start to fall for one another. However, as her departure date nears, things between them start to change for the worse. Grace grows wary of Calvin as his infatuation for her seems to turn into obsession, and Calvin fears that Grace is hiding something from him. Told from dual points of view, You Shouldn't Have Come Here is a thrill ride, a cautionary tale of what can go wrong when you open up your house and your heart to a total stranger. So, okay, they are very different, but the only thing that causes me to think they are similar is the fact that they're 2 getaway trips kind of thing, and they're both in like the middle of nowhere. So they are different, but this one actually sounds really, really good. I think that they're going to be both amazing in their own way, and I know I already love Geneva Rose's writing. So You Shouldn't Have Come Here comes out on April 25th this year. It's not even released, but I plan on reading that very soon. I actually have an ARC, so if I get to it before that, I will, but if not, I will be reading it in April. You best believe. So that is the second last book that I am expecting to have a 5-star rating. And we have finally reached the final book here, and that is The Last Housewife by Ashley Winstead. I adored In My Dreams I Hold a Knife. It was definitely a 5-star read for me. I loved her writing style. I loved how dark but also entertaining the book was, if that makes sense. And I've heard that this one is very dark. I heard that there's a lot of trigger warnings, but I am really looking forward to this story. It sounds so good. It says, while in college in New York, Shay Evans and her best friends met a captivating man who seduced them with a web of lies about the way the world works, bringing them under his thrall. By senior year, Shay and her friend Laurel were the only ones who managed to escape. Now, 8 years later, Shay's built a new life, and when she hears the horrifying news of Laurel's death, which was actually heard of on her favorite true crime podcast, she begins to suspect that the past she thought she buried is still very much alive, and the predator's more dangerous than ever. So she recruits the help of the podcast host, and they follow the threads of her friend's life. She's pulled into dark, seductive worlds where wealth and privilege shield a brutal philosophy that feels all too familiar. When Shay's obsession with uncovering the truth becomes so consuming that she can no longer separate her desire for justice from darker desires newly reawakened, she must confront the depths of her own complicity and conditioning. But in a world built for men to rule it, both inside the cult and outside of it, is justice even possible? And if so, how far will Shay go to get it? It does sound like there's going to be quite a bit of like gender roles and really dark philosophical concepts in this book, and I think that is going to be really great and well written by this author. If you know who Haley is on YouTube, I will link her down below. She really loved this book, and I love her thriller recommendations, so I'm just really excited to read this, and I think it's going to be great. Alright you guys, those are all 10 of my 5-star predictions for 2023. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and maybe you decide you're going to go pick up one of these yourself now. I really recommend you do, because even if they're not going to be 5 stars, I think that all of these books are going to be pretty high up there for a lot of people who haven't read them yet. And I'm just really excited to see which ones actually end up being 5 stars for me. So thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you have not already, like this video, comment any of your 5-star predictions, and I post every single Friday, so I will see you in the next one. Bye guys!